And in today's episode, among other things, you'll see robots learning to control their own bodies with almost human-like precision, while new artificial intelligences are starting to emerge not only in the mind, but spread throughout the entire body of machines. We'll also talk about systems capable of coordinating entire fleets of robots as if they were a single organism, and also about the energy that is beginning to sustain this new level of automation in a clean and viable way. Meanwhile, supercomputers are starting to simulate the future before it even happens. And we'll also see that contingency plans are no longer just fiction, and humanity is creating backups, a kind of technological Noah's Ark. When we put all this together, it's clear that we're not just advancing technology, we're redesigning how civilization works. Body, mind, energy, and survival. Let's understand all of this. Hello, impressed viewers. I'm Carlos Alves, and you're watching Incredible Reality. Let's get to the video. It's a fact that each robot has always been treated as an isolated machine, with its own brain, learning on its own and making mistakes on its own, and also evolving slowly. But now that's starting to change. The company Humanoid has unveiled a central artificial intelligence system called Kinect Intelligence Quotient, designed not to control a single robot, but to control entire fleets of them. And all of this at the same time. In practice, it's as if dozens or even hundreds of different robots started sharing a single digital mind. In the demonstration video, wheeled robots organize products in supermarkets, transport boxes, and operate complete logistics flows. Meanwhile, the humanoid biped assists people, talks to them, picks up objects, and performs service tasks, all operating under the same intelligence architecture. The idea behind Kinect Intelligence Quotient is simple and, at the same time, also radical. Instead of programming each robot individually, Humanoid created a layered artificial intelligence that sets goals, plans actions, and coordinates execution. At the fleet level, at the top is the strategic layer, which decides goals, priorities, and overall optimization of operations. Below it, a robotic reasoning layer breaks these goals into smaller tasks, adjusting the plans as the environment changes. And then comes the execution layer, which translates decisions into real movements. Picking, moving, walking, positioning. And finally, the physical layer, which controls balance, stability, and whole body movement at high frequency. All of this happens at the same time, at different speeds, like in a distributed artificial nervous system. The most important detail is that learning is shared. If a robot learns something new in a warehouse, that skill can be transferred to service robots, retail, or home environments. It's no longer just one robot learning, it's the entire fleet evolving as a single organism. And if one robot fails, the system doesn't crash. Kinect Intelligence Quotient simply reassigns the task to another, more suitable machine, thus keeping the operation flowing continuously. According to the company, this model marks the definitive transition from script-based robotics to what's called scalable physical AI, where reasoning, planning, and movement are no longer separate modules but start to function as a single individual. In practice, this is the beginning of something bigger. Robots are no longer just individual tools and are starting to operate as intelligent infrastructures, living in quotes, capable of supporting real, continuous, and large-scale operations. So, how far can this artificial mind learn the way a human body does? In China, the answer came from an unexpected place, the ancient birthplace of Kung Fu. A recent video from China made a lot of people stop, watch again, and feel a bit of a chill down their spine. Humanoid robots performing kung fu moves in perfect sync, side by side with human monks at the legendary Shaolin Temple. The footage, released by the Chinese company Adbot, started circulating on February 7 and quickly went viral on social media and also in the international media. The reaction was immediate: surprise, fascination, and for some, a hard-to-explain fear. At the center of the video are the Linxing X2 robots, already known for other impressive demonstrations. In March 2025, he appeared riding a bicycle just like a human does in an open space. Shortly after, in May, the company released even bolder footage with the robot performing a somersault, an extremely complex movement that requires precise propulsion, body control in the air, and a pinpoint landing. And now, Linxing X2 has gone even further. It performs sequences of traditional martial arts with posture, balance, and rhythm that closely resemble disciplined human training. Behind these movements, there is not just mechanics, but also a quote-unquote sophisticated artificial intelligence brain. The robot is powered by the Gene Operator 1 model, also known as Gene Operator 1, an AI designed to learn and act in the real world in a much more flexible way. Unlike traditional systems, Gene Operator 1 uses zero-shot generalization, allowing the robot to perform basic tasks and manipulate objects without specific prior training. In other words, it observes, interprets, and acts. The model introduces the concept of latent actions, a technique that helps the robot understand human movement by analyzing both past and present visual frames simultaneously. This solves one of the biggest bottlenecks in humanoid robotics, the scarcity of labeled data of real human actions. This allows, for example, several robots to move in sync, learning complex patterns of body movement, something clearly visible in the video recorded at the temple. But the impact is not just on the technology. The choice of the Shaolin Temple as the setting is deeply symbolic. The place is considered the birthplace of Shaolin Kung Fu, a space where, for centuries, body, mind, and philosophy have been trained together. Placing humanoid robots there is not just a technical demonstration. It's a deliberate cultural clash between ancient tradition and predictive artificial intelligence. The implicit message is powerful. Robotics is beginning to enter territories that have always been considered exclusively ours, belonging to humans. For Djibouti, these robots are not being presented as replacements, but as collaborative bodies, machines capable of learning from human demonstrations, working alongside people, and sharing cultural, industrial, and social spaces. Yeah, I know, seeing robots reproducing human movements with such precision is impressive. But when that same intelligence starts entering environments where decisions mean life or death, that's an impact that stops being symbolic. And that's exactly what's already starting to happen inside hospitals, including here in Brazil. On January 29, 2013, in 2026, the first edition of the Health Innovation Forum officially came to an end. It was 2 intense days with more than 1,500 participants, 130 speakers, 30 moderators, and 5 simultaneous arenas, discussing something that no longer belongs to the future, but is already here: the real transformation of healthcare. Held in Goiânia, the event has established itself as a meeting point for doctors, clinical engineers, hospital managers, startups, researchers, investors, and specialists who are redesigning the way things are done, both in the public and private sectors. The RIF made it clear that quality medicine doesn't depend only on good professionals, but on an entire ecosystem working in harmony. Infrastructure, hospital architecture, clinical engineering, data interoperability, sustainability, and of course, artificial intelligence. All of these are now discussed as inseparable parts of the same system. And it's worth noting that Genesis, the AI startup of my dear friend João Galdino, had an important presence at the RIF. They presented Mia, an AI specifically focused on healthcare. You might not know, but Aurea, which I often promote here, is by the same person. Genesis Umbrellas, which, besides Mia and also Aria, have other artificial intelligences focused on other sectors. The link is always here in the description, okay? One of the central themes of the exhibition was the democratization of robotic surgery. Not as a technological luxury, but as a tool that needs to reach more hospitals, more regions, and more patients. This with safety, efficiency, and real impact. Another strong point was the vision of the 100% digital hospital. Environments where interoperable and interconnected technologies reduce errors, increase patient safety, improve clinical decision-making, and make resource management processes much more efficient. Artificial intelligence appeared not as a distant promise, but as a concrete reality, and it already impacts diagnoses, management, costs, hospital workflows, and the way care is delivered. During the forum, industry leaders emphasized that we are not talking about replacing professionals, but about providing better tools so that doctors, nurses, and managers can make better decisions. Already today, not 10 years from now. The future of the hospital was presented as a milestone in this transformation. A new model of healthcare, smarter, more technological, more sustainable, and above all, more patient-centered, more focused on the human being. It's a fact that artificial intelligence, robotics, and digital systems promise to revolutionize healthcare. But there's a question that almost no one asks. What keeps all of this running 24 hours a day? The answer isn't in a robot, it's in energy and, of course, in the way we store it. A startup from Finland, The Storage, has officially put its first industrial-scale thermal storage system into operation, installed at a local brewery. And the numbers are quite impressive, up to 70% reduction in energy costs and 90% less carbon emissions in processes that, until now, have heavily depended on gas and oil. The system works in a straightforward yet ingeniously efficient way. It converts renewable electricity into heat, stores that energy in heated sand, and releases the heat on demand for industrial heating. It may sound simple when I say it like this, but the impact is huge. Today, heat production accounts for almost about 1/5 of all global energy consumption, and approximately 80% of that still comes from fossil fuels. In other words, it's one of the biggest sources of industrial emissions, and also one of the hardest to replace. The storage's solution was designed precisely for this bottleneck. During charging, renewable electricity, preferably used when it's cheaper and more abundant, heats the sand up to 800 degrees. This hot sand is stored in highly insulated thermal silos, where the energy remains stable for long periods. When the industry needs steam or heat for its production lines, the sand is circulated through an external heat exchanger, releasing the energy. With an efficiency up to 10 times greater than traditional static thermal storage systems, this detail changes everything. Besides being efficient, the system is highly scalable. It can operate from smaller installations with around 20 megawatts up to giant industrial systems, reaching 500 megawatts of storage and charging capacities of up to 20 megawatts. In practice, this means that heat-intensive sectors such as food, beverages, chemicals, and industrial processing finally have a real alternative to boilers. The thing is, solving energy is the first step. The second is predicting the future before it happens. In a way, for that, humanity is building brains capable of simulating entire worlds, and National Aeronautics and Space Administration has just turned on one of the most powerful ones. As space exploration advances, the challenges stop being just physical and become mathematical. Even before a rocket leaves the launch pad, thousands of variables need to be predicted, simulated, and tested. And that's exactly where National Aeronautics and Space Administration has just made a historic leap. On March 27, the agency officially introduced Athena, its most powerful and efficient computer ever built. A system designed to become the digital foundation for the next generation of space, aeronautics, and scientific missions. Located at Ames Research Center in Silicon Valley, Athena now operates as National Aeronautics and Space Administration's main computational engine, capable of handling simulations that, until recently, would have been simply unfeasible. And the numbers are quite impressive. Athena reaches over 20 petaflops of performance, which is equivalent to 24 million calculations per second. All this power allows for something crucial in modern exploration: replacing extremely expensive physical tests with highly accurate digital simulations. Rocket launches, atmospheric re-entry dynamics, next-generation aircraft designs, and energy efficiency analyses. Now they can be tested virtually, saving millions of dollars before any part is even manufactured. But Athena is not just a physics simulator. It also works as a training ground for advanced artificial intelligence models, capable of analyzing petabytes of data coming from satellites, probes, and scientific missions. Instead of searching for patterns manually, scientists now rely on an AI trained to identify phenomena that could go unnoticed by us. With this, researchers can, for example, simulate complex atmospheric patterns, predict the impacts of solar storms on Earth, or analyze large volumes of planetary data in search of new discoveries. The name of the system was not chosen by chance. In mythology, Athena is a symbol of wisdom, and in addition, she is Artemis's sister, which gives its name to National Aeronautics and Space Administration's current lunar program, a symbolic connection between computing, exploration, and humanity's return to the moon. And the timing couldn't be more strategic. As Athena goes into operation, teams at the Kennedy Space Center are approaching a crucial milestone: the final preparations for the Artemis II mission test flight. At this very moment, as I'm recording this script, the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion capsule are undergoing full rehearsals, including a simulated launch. With supercomputers capable of predicting extreme scenarios, one realization is becoming even clearer. Earth can't be the only plan. There has to be a plan B. Elon Musk decided to speed all of this up, and he's not starting with Mars now. He wants the moon. For more than 2 decades, Mars has been the ideological heart of SpaceX since the company's founding. Elon Musk argued that the red planet would be humanity's plan B, a distant but necessary refuge in case Earth fails. But it seems that something has changed. Last weekend, Musk publicly indicated that SpaceX is now prioritizing the moon as its immediate destination, leaving Mars in the background in the short term. According to the Reuters report, Elon Musk's new goal is to create a self-sustaining city on the moon within about 10 years. The reasoning is simple, direct, and brutally pragmatic. While Mars requires a launch window every 26 months and a journey of about 6 months, the moon is right there. Just 2 days of travel, launch windows every 10 days, constant resupply, and very fast iteration. In the words of Musk himself, the top priority is to ensure the future of civilization. The moon is faster. This shift in focus was also confirmed by the Wall Street Journal, which revealed that SpaceX has already officially informed its investors about their new strategy. The moon now comes first, Mars comes later. According to Musk, building a self-sustaining city on the moon would be feasible in less than half the time needed for a Martian colony. And in the game of survival for human civilization, time is everything. SpaceX says it still has plans for Mars, but the message is different now. Before reaching the distant, it's necessary to secure the next step. Even so, I have to remind you, there is a history that requires caution. Musk is known for aggressive timelines and frequent changes. Last year, for example, he even claimed that a manned mission to Mars could happen as early as the end of 2020-2026. With Starship being launched today, that plan seems to have been pushed into the future. It's also still unclear to what extent National Aeronautics and Space Administration supports the idea of a private lunar city. The agency is facing delays in its own program, Artemis. Meanwhile, geopolitical pressure is increasing. The Chinese lunar program is advancing at a rapid pace, and the moon is once again being seen not just as a scientific destination, but as strategic territory. This shift in space focus is happening alongside another profound transformation in Musk's empire. After the acquisition of Xi by SpaceX, a move that valued the combined entity at over $1.25 trillion, the company also began to set its sights on space, a solution to the artificial intelligence energy crisis. The guy's idea is clear: to take data centers into orbit where solar energy is almost constant and independent of Earth's overloaded power grids. Musk's proposal involves launching constellations of artificial intelligence satellites functioning as orbital data centers, while the company prepares for an initial public offering estimated at $50 billion, aimed at financing both the lunar expansion and this new computing infrastructure. Yeah, building cities outside of Earth is a way to guarantee the continuity of civilization. At least that's what those guys believe. The thing is, there has always been the risk of innovation losing its own life as we know it. And that's why, while some look to space, others are creating a vault to save DNA here on the planet. The United Arab Emirates announced on February 3rd an unprecedented initiative: the creation of the first permanent genetic biovault, a true modern Noah's Ark, built not from wood, but from pure technology. It originated from a multi-million-dollar partnership with Biosenses, a major North American company specializing in synthetic biotechnology and genetic conservation. It's the same company that brought the dire wolf back and plans to bring back other extinct species, like the mammoth, for example. The chosen location is no coincidence. It's the Museum of the Future in Dubai. The proposal is clear and ambitious: to create a biovault, a scientific fortress designed to store the genetic codes of more than 10,000 species, starting right now with the 100 most endangered animals on the planet. In practice, it's another plan B for life here on Earth. Studies indicate that if the current pace continues, up to half of known species could disappear by 2050, causing the collapse of entire ecosystems, and along with them, human food, economic, and climate security. BioVault emerges as a safety net, a genetic backup system capable of preserving essential information even in the face of irreversible losses in nature. The project goes beyond a simple frozen repository. It is a permanent laboratory that will be installed inside the museum, turning the space into an active center for scientific research and preservation of life. There, scientists will collect, sequence, and store DNA on a large scale, using robotics, artificial intelligence, and advanced cryopreservation to catalog millions of samples with extreme precision. But the project is not limited to storing genes in a vault. The goal is to generate high-quality reference genomes, which are fundamental for future strategies of conservation, ecosystem restoration, and even possible biotechnological interventions. This episode made it clear that the future doesn't arrive in isolated blocks. It arrives connected, interdependent, and much closer than it seems. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and check your subscription. If you haven't subscribed to Aria yet, use the link in the description or pinned comment for a free 7-day trial. Thanks for staying with me. See you next time. Just click one of the 2 suggestions on your screen. Thanks. Thank you once again, all right? Bye-bye.